Um, and I know one of the episodes you saw, I forget the name of it. Monkeys at the Circus had two of the actors that we interviewed, Richard Devon and Gene Rutherford. You watched the film, so I don't really know that. But you said that Richard Devon played the villain, the great victor, and then Gene Rutherford played the strong man. I just
Yeah.
want to add a little thing about Gene Rutherford. He said he grew up in Mississippi in a little town. He said he didn't know anything about acting, that. But he said, but ever since he was a little kid, for some reason, I wanted to be an actor, and so eventually, when he got older, he went off to Hollywood, and he said he didn't know anything. He said he didn't know what a casting director was or a director was or nothing like that. But then he found out, he started sending off his resumes to the various casting directors, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. But then the war came. Maybe the Korean War came, and he got drafted into that. And when he came back, he went back to Hollywood. He said he learned that something a little bit more now. So he started going to some really good schools. And I just brought this up because of Dan Dye. One of the people he went to school with, he said Sandy Meisner came out to Hollywood for a while, and he said he's the greatest teacher you can ever have. And then he ended up getting parts in uh, various TV shows and movies and all that for a while. But it said he didn't know nothing, so it took him a long time to get going. But
Mm.
He had a funny bit in the episode with Peter Tork. He didn't have a huge part in the show, but as the strong man, he was lifting this heavy barbell, going, oh, trying to lift it. And Peter Tork just walked by and said, "I'll take that," and just grabbed it and walked off with one hand, as like it weighed nothing. And it was just a funny little bit, I mean, he was in the episode. That wasn't his only part, but like that's the part of his I remember. Just this goofy,
Richard Devon, you said, was the villain.
Yeah, so I remembered Richard Devon as the villain as a kid, like this a mean guy, and he wasn't really that bad. He was, I guess, if there was a villain, he was a villain. But his thing was he was unionizing the circus to go on strike,
Oh,
and so he was kind of a gruff guy, but like he wasn't like a villain as you would. I remembered him as a villain, so as a kid, I was probably terrified by him, but. He was a knife thrower. He threw like knives, and he was trying to unionize the circus folk because they weren't getting paid, and he was trying to cause a strike at the circus. And the Monkees were trying to keep the circus alive, and that was kind of the episode's point.
Richard.
But he was the big role. I mean, he was the main guy in that.
Yeah, Richard Devon. Jim and I got a part of a couple of hitmen in a film, independent film in Utah back in 1988, I think it was. And we mentioned it to Richard Devon. He sent us a real nice little email. Not email, a regular mail. And he said, "Welcome to the Club of Screen Villainy. I know you'll enjoy it," or something like that. Nice man.
Yeah,
him and his wife
both he
were
and his
super.
wife.
You'd never see them go anywhere when they weren't hand in hand, even after 40 years of marriage or whatever it was. They still walk hand in hand as they walk down the street to the restaurant when we went with them to the restaurant.
Real nice people.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're still friends with his wife, Patricia. Yeah.
And Richard Devon did a ton of work too over the years, the decades.
Oh, yeah. He did a ton of work. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a fun one. This was a fun one with him for sure. I mean, all these are fun. I mean, there's nothing deep about these. Like, let's talk about the deeper meaning. No, it's a bunch of people at the circus, and he throws knives at Davy Jones. But but it was a good one. He had a really good part, and he did it really well. I want to loop back really quick to Bing Russell. So yeah, he was in the pilot. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I read about that he was a baseball player.
Yes, yeah.
Professional baseball player too.
Yeah, his dad had an airplane, and he flew one of the big shots at the Yankees around, and Bing used to go with them, and so he got to know Joe DiMaggio and all these people, and he said that growing up, the two things he wanted to do was he wanted to play baseball and he wanted to be an actor. And his dad said, "Oh, you want to play have fun and games?" And Bing said, "Yeah, fun and games. You know,
Why not?
baseball, boy and girl, and cowboys and Indians." And he did play baseball for a few seasons. I forget what club he was with, and he got injured, and then so that kind of ended his baseball career. So he said he only had one thing left, and he ended up getting a job down in Florida, and a movie company was coming in called The Big Leaguer with Edward G. Robinson, and he went and auditioned for it since baseball, and he got into that, and that's how he got into movies. And when he moved to LA, finally, he had his wife and his two kids, and they lived in a little $20 a month loft downtown, I guess West Hollywood, someplace. And he told his wife, he said, "Well, don't be too satisfied here. I picked out a $5 a month place down in East LA for when we have to move from here." He said, but he had to make it as an actor because there was nothing else left for him, and he did. And he ended up having a long career. He ended up having 13 seasons on Bonanza, playing a deputy first, and he became the sheriff on that. And he said that gave him the life he wanted, because he told them that, well, sometimes he did 101 episodes. He said sometimes he didn't have anything to do. Sometimes he had 1 or 2 days. Sometimes he had the whole script. But he said he had life the way he wanted it. He could have his fun and games acting, but he had a lot of time with his family, and that's how, he said that's the way he wanted it, and that's the way it turned out for him. He said Bonanza did that for him.
Nice. I read that when Joe DiMaggio got ill with his disease, when he had to retire, he gave his last home run bat to Bing Russell. I don't know. I mean, I read that, so I don't know if you heard.
No, but and after Bing's career was, after he got older, and he ended up starting up a baseball team up in Portland, Oregon, and so he managed that, and his son Kurt, who was a child actor, and then he wanted to play baseball, and he played baseball for a while, and then he became an adult actor.
Russell, yeah.
Bing said the two things he wanted to do in life was, one, replace Joe DiMaggio with the Yankees, and the second is to win the Academy Award. He said he never replaced Joe DiMaggio, and his son Kurt is probably closer to getting the Academy Award than he is. Nice guy, him and his wife, Louise. They were both super. He'd call us up and talk to us on the phone. One time he had there was a movie script about two brothers in a Western. He said if he could get it made, he said we would have been perfect for the two characters. So we had some connections, but those things didn't turn out. But just real super nice people.
And of course, Bing Russell is a love of mine and Matthew's, because he was in one of our favorite films of all time, Teenage Thunder. And so
I didn't know that.
He was the car salesman.
He was the car, right? And then he was never.
We talked about that before.
He's like,
I do want to talk about one other guy that you knew real quick, and his episode is Paul Sorensen.
Yeah, he came from Michigan, and he again wanted. I read something about him in the book today, and to refresh my memory, and I can't remember what it was. Something I was going to bring up that he said or did.
He became a minister.
Yeah, he became a minister. He started out singing in church choirs. All of his brothers and sisters ended up in one way or another. One was a radio announcer. One was a singer on Broadway, and so he did a film in Santa Cruz once. But we talked about, I think, that on a.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. That's right. Yeah. The train track.
Yeah, about the train tracks. But there was something else he said that I wanted to bring up, and
We can just do it next time. I can include it the next time we talk about the Monkees.
Yeah,
We could end with
minds forget. I'm going to be 80. I shouldn't advertise this, but I'm in December. I'm going to be 80 years old, and I don't. When I was younger, I thought I'd never make it past 40, and now I'm going to double that. And so I told my sister-in-law the other day, I guess my next goal is to make it to 120 and see what happens.
There you go.
The only way I'll be able to do that is to get a time machine, go back to the days of the Old Testament when they lived for 500 years or whatever.